My fellow citizens of the world, ask not what America will do for you, but what together we can do for the freedom of man.
We operate on the assumption, while hoping for the best, we expect the worst.
I don't want historians 10 years from now to say, these were the years when the tide ran out for the United States. I want them to say, these were the years when the tide came in.
The President's car is now turning onto Elm Street, and it will be only a matter of minutes before he arrives at the trademark. It appears as though something has happened in the motorcade route. Something, I repeat, has happened in the motorcade route.
The President of the United States is dead.
"50 years ago, on November 22nd, 1963, America was shattered by the assassination of our 35th president, John F. Kennedy.
If a free society cannot help the many who are poor, it cannot save the few who are rich.
The world will never know what else President Kennedy may have accomplished. However, the iconic photographs of his life and presidency will forever preserve his legacy. This week, 120 images from the world's largest JFK photo collection are on display in North Little Rock, Arkansas. Spread throughout 8 galleries and restaurants, this is an unprecedented event, as some of these photos have never been publicly displayed. The exhibition, presented by Rogers Photo Archives and Argenta Images, highlights 8 different themes of JFK's life and presidency.
Time for this nation to take a clearly leading role in space achievement, which in many ways may hold the key to our future on Earth.
On May 25, 1961, before a joint session of Congress, President Kennedy urged America to reach our potential for exploration and beat the Soviets to the moon. On display at the joint, located on Main Street, is a collection of photographs entitled Moonshot, the Space Race.
Pleasure to have you here, and I want you to meet my daughter Caroline and my wife Jackie.
How do you do? I'm glad you had a chance to see something in the Senate, and now to see our house where we've lived a year.
Caroline Kennedy was 3 years old when her father became president, and on November 25, 1960, just 2 weeks after JFK narrowly defeated Richard Nixon in the U.S. presidential election, Jacqueline Kennedy gave birth to their second child, John Jr. The Thea Foundation is displaying photos that feature JFK's family. This photograph of brothers John, Robert, and Edward Kennedy was taken in July of 1960 in Hyannisport, Massachusetts, and is part of a display called the Kennedy Clan at the Starving Artist Cafe.
My fellow citizens of the world, ask not what America will do for you, but what together we can do for the freedom of man.
In his famous 1961 inaugural address, President Kennedy challenged his fellow Americans to be better public servants. The Art Connection, located on East 4th Street, is featuring JFK photographs related to the arts and public service. Jackie Kennedy once recalled that her husband liked the Broadway musical Camelot, which had opened a month after Kennedy's election. The musical's tagline, "For a brief shining moment," came to embody Kennedy's 1,000 days in office. A collection of photographs entitled JFK, 1,000 Days of Camelot, can be seen at the Argenta Community Theater on Main Street. No American alive in 1963 will ever forget where they were and how they reacted when the news reached them of the assassination of President Kennedy. At Pennington Studios, we see snapshots of that national devastation with an exhibit entitled JFK, A Nation Mourns.
the Soviet Union and Cuba and the United States must all be aware this will produce the greatest crisis which the world has faced in its history.
On display at Greg Thompson's Fine Art is a group of images called JFK, From Campaigns to Cold War. President Kennedy considered the peaceful resolution of the 1962 Cuban Missile Crisis his finest achievement in office. Jacqueline Bouvier was introduced to a young U.S. Representative, John F. Kennedy, during a dinner party in May of 1952. Kennedy was running for Senate at the time and proposed to Jackie shortly after his election. Visit the Paint Box Gallery on Main Street to see rare photos of First Lady Jacqueline Kennedy. In addition to the photography exhibition, I'll be reading President Kennedy's inaugural speech at noon on Tuesday, March 26th on the steps of the Argenta Post Office. We thank all the sponsors that made this historic event possible. Special thanks goes to North Little Rock's own John Rogers, who is generously sharing the world's largest JFK photo collection with his hometown and state. Check out the full calendar of JFK events that will be taking place throughout the Argenta Arts District this week and help us honor the memory of an American icon.